Okay, I think it's time. I don't see any chat comments yet, guys. Oh, there's one. Bruh XRP. Surfside Beach in the house with the snip. Well, Surfside Beach, I'm going to present something from Santa Surfing Beach broadcast. Actually, she posted this May 22nd. I was talking to one of my woo-woo guys earlier today. The guy that used to live in Australia. And he said, he's like, you ever hear of the NESARA or GESARA? And I said, yeah, I have. And he said, when that thing came out, I'm just like, what is this? Come on. And he goes, but, I had something in my feed today. And he goes, it wasn't like I was looking for some certain topic and then related things came in for me to click on and watch. He goes, but this just came in, this video about this stuff. And I had ignored it, and another few days went by, there it is again. Days went by, there it is again. And I said, okay, that's something wants me to watch this, So he said, I started watching it, and a lot of this is starting to ring true right now. He goes, you'd have never thought so. And this whole thing with the king, this new guy, the king, John III, he's claiming, you got the Queen of England. She's, I'm leaving for coronavirus purposes, the palace. I'm going to go to this other castle. And there was a picture of her in there, and there's no type of royalty or items you would expect a queen or what have you would have in this other castle. It just looked like a regular background. And we were talking about it. And he goes, I think I'm being pointed to this by my guides to say, hey, look at this. He goes, I know there's going to be some rough times here. I mean, they're already in the U.S. starting, and of course in the U.K. they were rioting and crap too over the same nonsense. So he goes, I get the idea or the sense that absolute greatness is coming after all this. Trump's uncle with the Tesla technology. Like, I said, well, if we're going to release that stuff in the United States, amazing technology is coming, the whole world's going to buy it. So when President Trump says, oh, wait till next year, wait till I'm reelected, and then wait and watch what the economic boom does. Is it partly because we are selling different technologies and licensing and whatever across the world? Maybe. So we had a nice discussion this morning. He said, I've got a download for you. He goes, there's a lot of people who are scared right now. There's a lot of people who are very nervous because of what's happening. There's a lot of people who think, oh crap, the deep state, like they're winning. He goes, this is basically, it's a speed bump. We're in the middle of the speed bump. We're going over a speed bump. And it's a pretty big speed bump. The deep state still has a few tricks up their sleeve. He even said that. So let's not be too cocky or whatever. But he goes, ultimately we win, and Trump wins. So it's after this scary stuff. He goes, that's what people should try to focus on if they're getting nervous or scared or hating what they're seeing, it's making them nervous, panicking. But he's like, someone needs to come out and just, let's talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about what it's going to possibly look like afterwards. This great new beginning, if you will, without the deep state. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that's my download for you. He says, I'm going to send you a video, and it's like a summary of a bunch of different parts. And this lady, Beachside Broadcast, I'm like, I think I know that person. That's Santa Surfing. She was the one that interviewed John on Twitter. So I'm like, oh yeah, I remember her doing this. I think I remember seeing a few little parts of it, but I didn't watch like this summarized version. So she put this out on May 22nd. So what's that? 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 3 weeks ago. And I just started watching it a little while ago, and I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna do a live stream, and we're gonna watch hers together. So I'll play it on my screen, and we'll just watch it together in case I need to pause it, comment, that kind of thing. But I had mentioned to him, because he talks about this guy, Gregory Shalit, whatever his name is, that goes by King John III or whatever. and he's the rightful ruler of England and whatever England lays claim to now. And remember when someone put up the map and showed all the land that the Queen of England technically owned, like almost all the earth, like years ago they put that out? Well, that would mean he now does. It also means every treaty, agreement, whatever, the whole system is null and void. It's fraud. Because the not rightful rulers have been ruling. So I told him, I said, well, I just did a video interview with my friend Jean-Claude a couple days ago. And we had an interesting experience, he did, Jean-Claude, at our very first trip to New Mexico when we were doing the treasure hunt. And we were going to go up there to the mountain one day, and he's like, I need to stay home and rest, like something's coming on strong. And we're like, all right, fine. Me and Dave will go explore this one spot and come back. So we were gone a few hours, came back, he opens the door, like half asleep, half, barely, and he's like, holy cow, I've got to tell you about this vision I just had in this dream. And since we've already discussed it the other day, I'm going to repeat it now. Because it's like literally maybe happening with this King John III. And in this dream, he's sitting inside this cavern, and he can't get to these artifacts in the corner. They're too far. There's like a chasm in the middle or something. He can't get across it. And I think it was the goddess Inanna, or when he said it yesterday or the day before, I thought he said it was somebody, another female, but I think it was Inanna. And the story of Inanna, she liked humans. She loved us. Her one brother, he kind of was okay with us, but And then the other brother was like, no, I don't like humans. But anyways, he's like, go look, I'll just give you the quick version. That's it. Go look it up later and research it. I'm like, all right, because that was the first time I heard the word Inanna, was January 2019, when he said it. And he had an experience with her in Cuba many years before that. And maybe like 3 years before that. And he remembered her. And, I saw her when I was a boy in a vision. And now I can ask her some stuff. And he said, I just choked. I literally choked. I couldn't ask her stuff. And she just gave me this big download and went away. And I was like, damn it, I couldn't ask her the questions. So there she is again, many, 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 many years later after that, Cuba. And then after Cuba, a few years later in New Mexico, in this vision, dream he had. And it was very powerful to him. And he said, she's like, I need that. Can you get that for me? And he's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll try. And he just knew, well, I could use like mind power, the force, in this dream, and I'll pick it up. So there's this big like sarcophagus thing. It's huge. And he thinks that's what she wants, and he starts to move it. He's getting closer, and then he gets nervous or something and drops it. The mummy falls out, and he's like, oh my God, you're going to kill me. I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, that's just some old bones. I don't care about that. That's nothing. That little box next to it, I need that. He's like, oh, that's a lot smaller. Oh, okay. So he does the same thing. He brings it over, and once he gets it over, he can see what's in it. And it's this ancient, I don't know if it's a ceremonial dagger or whatever, but it is a very important dagger that signified rulership, rightful heir to the earth and rulership. And it had been hidden away, not to be found, while the deep state, if you will, bad guys, are running things. So then he flashes, as he gets that for her, flashes over to a scene where he said, I'm like looking through this long tunnel, and I can see this a huge guy sitting in like a chair, like a throne, and he recognizes, oh crap, someone's found it. Oh shit, we're in trouble. We better get on that fast or we're done. And he was upset. So then he looks back, and JC's at the other end, they're kind of looking at each other, and JC's like, I felt extremely uncomfortable with this guy looking at me. I didn't like it at all. But then I flash back, and I'm back with Inanna or whatever, and she basically explains that the rightful rulership will now take place. You've discovered this thing, you've given it back to her, and now we're going to have the rightful ruler, if you will, the one who cared about us, the one who's not a bad person. So I'm like, I've been thinking about this over days now, because I remember that story he told me. And there was a crystal that's part of the story in New Mexico from this Indian woman, in which she said, before she got it, another woman who had been doing spiritual work with her, the stone is her, said, I'm done doing my work with her with the Inanna stone. You can come get her now. She's ready for you to be the guardian and do your work with her. So she ran over there as fast as she could, drove up there and got her. So when she said that to us, the Inanna stone, I'm looking over at JC like, because I remember what he said a few months ago, because this would have been in April 2019, what his experience was with that dream. And I'm like, he looks at me, I'm looking at him, and then we look back at her, okay, continue. There's Inanna again, and she explains the stone, this crystal has been telling her through dreams and visions or something, you needed to take me to the sacred grounds in a very specific mountain. Urgently, it's getting close. So I tell her, well, I just got a Jeep. We'll go this weekend. We'll stop everything we're doing and take you. She goes, no, there's still snow on the ground. We can only go in like July and August. I'm like, oh, okay. When you're ready, let me know. I'll stop everything I'm doing. We will. So I did go. She wanted me and my family to go only for some reason. So we went and we did the ceremony with her. The stone was put on the ground in front of this specific tree at this mountain. My family was there, all of us. And we did exactly what she asked us to do, and came back the next morning. She camped out. I helped her pick the stone back up and put her away. I thought the stone was staying forever, but at the same time I knew she's not going to let it go. She can't let it go. And I think the stone knew it too, and did whatever it needed to do anyways, whether it was being left behind or not. That's just my opinion. Long story short, the stone's need to do that has to do with all the stuff I just talked about. This sounds crazy, I understand. So, here we are now, with this guy, King John III, I'm the rightful heir. I'm sorry, what? You're going to fix everything? He's happy, he's pro-Trump, basically, you know. Okay. So, maybe things are going to get really good after this bad part that we're dealing with partially right now. And again, it may continue to get a little worse here. And I want to talk maybe after this video about some possibilities of our future, which could be absolutely epic. You know, like I'm excited right now, even though it's a little scary outside. I'm excited to get to that next spot. I don't want to be caught up in this nonsense. Let's hurry up. Fast forward, man. Let's go. So let's watch. And I see someone, yes, NESARA is really, really old. It is. And when I found it, by the way, when I was doing my initial awakening, 2005, 6, 7, somewhere around there, I came across it, and I see the trucks parked in front of the Congress House building, you know, and NESARA now, and I'm like, oh, and I'm reading about it. Oh my God, yeah. And then I realized, like, on what planet? On what planet is NESARA going to happen? Give me a break. But I read all about it, studied it, started believing in it at first, and like, come on, dude. Okay, there's that, and then here's reality. The deep state's running everything. Yeah, okay, never mind. So I wrote that off a long time ago, that's it. But I know all about it. And now, like I said in, I think, the interview with JC, I'm like, you know, we need to look back at NESARA now. There may be something to this after all. If Hillary had won, nope, forget about it. So, anyways, let's watch this video together. And I'll mute my mic just in case I just don't need to have my mic on right now. It's a 35-minute video. I'm going to say that I'm going to speed it up to 1.25 playback. So it'll sound a little bit funny, but at least we'll get through it a little bit quicker since it's 35 minutes. Maybe it'll only take us, 20-something minutes. So let's do this.
Aloha, this is Anna Surfing and welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2020. Thank you for those that ordered Trump cards. My goodness, President Trump's going to be overwhelmed. So I want to go ahead and dive right in. This is going to be a podcast that is going to summarize all of NESARA and JSARA because many people are now beginning to ask, and because this is a podcast that is very different than many of my typical ones, I am not featuring any of the sponsored ads up here because in all fairness to all 24 of the different free sponsored ads, I think it's only fair if we could put all 24 up there, but it was going to get very busy and I want really people to focus on this podcast. about it. We started talking about this about 2 months ago. Last month I put together all the posts and I keep adding to this. So it's going to be a summary of NESARA, JSARA, for those of you that are interested in finding out more about how it works, because there's a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon of the narrative and understanding what it's all about. NESARA, JSARA is National Economic Security and Reformation Act. JSARA is Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. Now, this is a law that would change your life. What is NESARA and JSARA? It's been announced on September 11th of 2001. This is what it is. It forgives credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. It abolishes income tax. It abolishes the IRS, increases benefits to senior citizens, returns constitutional law, establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after NESARA's announcement. Many people are getting this confused. They're saying that it's 120 days of the election. There's going to be new presidential and congressional elections. So it could be any day, any date. So I'm just kind of giving some clarification. I actually was enlightened on that just very recently. Monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities. It creates a new U.S. Treasury currency called the rainbow currency. It's backed by gold, silver, platinum, and precious metals. It returns constitutional law to our courts and our legal matters, thank goodness. Initiates new Treasury, a U.S. Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law. It eliminates the Federal Reserve, restores financial privacy, retrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. It seizes all aggressive U.S. military actions worldwide. It establishes peace throughout the world. It initiates its first phase of worldwide prosperity distribution. It releases enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. It enables the release of new technologies such as alternative energy devices. And to add to that is also it does include the patents, releasing all the patents for cures. So now that you have an idea of what it's all about, let me just kind of give you a brief history of how it got started. There were farmers back in 1978 that got their properties illegally foreclosed on. They'd found an attorney. This took them about the amendment. They found a loophole in the 14th Amendment, Section 4. Section 4 reads, the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned, but neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for the loss or emancipation of any slave. But all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. Now that's huge because of the rebellion against the United States. How long has that been going on? For decades. What does that mean? In today's language, think about the resistance groups. Think about the liberals that are they're pushing the deep state and the dirty swamp rats, and how they want to continue. They support people that commit treason in our own country. They support people that will pay money to Iran rather than to our own taxpayers. They take our money and steal it. They use it for other purposes. That's rebellion. All right. So you see in the big picture now. In short, what happened is that this was signed by Bill Clinton. He didn't want to sign it. And in these blog posts that you can read right here in articles, it actually talks about how he was held at gunpoint to sign it because the military wanted to go ahead and have it signed because they want it for the country. So thank you, military and our veterans, for, again, fighting for us on this level here. Now, so what happened was Bush Jr. was supposed to make the announcement. He was supposed to make the announcement on September 11th of 2001. His Papa Bush kept saying, no, 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 no. Of course, Papa Bush is dirty as heck. And what happened instead is they concocted a horrible, evil plan, and it was a day of horror instead of a day of celebration. Over 3,000 innocent lives were taken away from us from a hologram or a remote control device on the Twin Towers, on the Pentagon, on the Building 7. So, and there's more proof on that. Many, many people do podcasts on September 11th, 2001. So what happened? Did Justice Roberts withhold our prosperity papers? Now picture this. These are prosperity papers owed to us. Now you may be young. You may say, oh, I'm only in my 20s. I don't understand what's going on. It would have gone to your parents and it would have been handed over to you as well. So how this works is this. Justice Roberts, did he withhold that? And it's an original copy. There are no copies. So these are original copies. Did he withhold that as a bribe so it could not be released? Did he get caught for transferring $3 trillion into his own personal bank account? And did he get caught in transferring $10 trillion to Cheney, Bush, Clinton's, and McCain? Right? So these are questions. Go through this article. It does go through a lot of stuff about how the beginnings of NESARA. Part 2 is the seized assets. What is the value? Why am I bringing this up? Because it's how the NESARA plan gets paid out. Where does the money come from, right? You're probably wondering, how's that paid out? I don't understand. No, we're not going to be printing money like they're doing right now. That has like the value is based on whatever the Federal Reserve says. It is, remember when President Trump signed this executive order, December 21st, 2017, the executive order blocking properties, persons involved in serious human rights abuse. This was a worldwide order. And that I'll get into in the later part of NESARA. So if you take a look at collectively all the seized assets from Epstein, from Weinstein, from the Nixon scandal, and how they all got caught, Soros, Rothschild fortunes, you get the point. Now, this was 2 months ago. Our national debt is higher. It was 24 trillion 2 months ago. Consumer debt was 14 trillion. Let's round up. It's 38 trillion. Now, if we take just the seized assets and let's say the gold that we have in our country, I'm just going to use a conservative number. From what I understand, that's a conservative number now. It's quadrillion, which has 15 zeros. We take the national debt. It's 38 trillion, right? We subtract this amount, 38 trillion from the quadrillion, and it comes up to $962 trillion. That's how the prosperity plan, the debt relief plan works. Now, remember, our debts are under the consumer debt. So that would be student loans, home mortgages, auto loans. It's not personal debts you have with your buddies. It's the consumer debt that you have with an established organization like a bank. NESARA Part 3 is COVID is a front for the global takedown. The title of that post is actually The Best Is Yet to Come. Coronavirus is a huge front for the takedown for the cabal. Everyone was going to start using COVID or coronavirus as the reason for death. What that actually means in this post was that they were going to use it because as they're taking down people, they needed an excuse. They worked out, maybe they said no deals, but they'll say, we will keep your name. Let's say like somebody from Hollywood, we'll keep your name. We won't say anything more, but you can go ahead and announce that you have passed away from COVID. So that's how that COVID worked. Now, there were Q posts relating to Corona. Those were satellites that were taken down. In the speech here on March 11th, President Trump, the first thing he says is, my fellow Americans, on March 11th, 2020. Now, I know we're waiting for that tweet because QAnons, we're waiting for that tweet. And when that happens, our heads are going to go crazy. But the takeaways on that was he was offering federal funding for coronavirus. Their European outbound travel to USA had seized elderly, non-essential travel bans. So this is when he started to talk about the travel bans because he was advised by two doctors, the doctors of doom, as I call them, Fauci and Birx, to close the economy. Now, so this kind of gives you a little bit more about what the first indictment will trigger mass population awakening. So you can go ahead and read through this, but in sum, it's the dirty deep state has to go down first before any other prosperity plan, this NESARA, JASARA, Trumpsara, DPA, whatever President Trump is going to call this. All right. I just shared NESARA because that was the original language. That was the original title of this, but whatever President Trump is going to roll out, that's strictly up to him. NESARA Part 4, shockwaves worldwide, people affected since the virus was Queen Elizabeth, Queen leaving Buckingham Palace, Buckingham assets, Prince Harry about the royal monarchy, coronavirus targeting. So it was targeting at that time. It was targeting a lot of people in Hollywood. Bill Maher and John Oliver, their shows are bye-bye. Bill Gates resigned. And Andrew Gillum, he's in coronavirus hab, as I called it. And then we had student loans were waived, Federal Reserve is closed. So this is when the announcement came of the student loans the interest was going to be waived, the Federal Reserve is closed, the worldwide news, and the Queen lost control. All right, so that was part 4. I'm not going to go to that post because that pretty much sums things up, but you can click on those links to get you to the article, or you can click on those links about the worldwide happenings, and it takes you to those particular articles as well. Okay, NESARA Part 5, Trump drops NESARA bombs. Okay, this was huge. This is when the $1 trillion stimulus plan was going out. He had said in a short clip in the briefing, he was talking about we have to take care of our people, don't want people to suffer, looking at payroll tax, get money to people. Our country is doing so well. We can do this. Do want to go big. Going big is important. We have to make sure this is done. And then this is never, ever with any kind of a pandemic, we never, ever had a stimulus package for, let's say, H1N1 or the flu, right? So then there were a few other posts about this. And then I defined what corona meant. Corona in Latin means, well, wreath and crown. Isn't that amazing? Crown. So got to keep that in our, just going to keep that in the back burner. So then it talks a little bit more about some of the things that were going on and how the House Democrats postponed their return to Washington, D.C., and how all of the closures started to take place. Now, guys, what happened, this looked like a federal building right here. So all the things that started to take place, the resignations galore, seriously, more people getting their debts wiped out. You can click on these links and you could actually see all of the action. Gold is setting records dating back to 5,000 years. So it actually has a lot of proofs in here of how everything was transitioning. Now, that is all of the NESARA as well. And then President Trump announcing sending checks to American workers. So he did end up doing that. NESARA Part 6 was kind of eye-opening because it's about Trump's speech, no seal. Now, again, I probably should take that out because he's had seals and he hasn't had seals at the podiums. New York Stock Exchange trading floor shuts down. Never, ever happened in my lifetime. So he has a very powerful 1-minute speech. It had a lot of bombs in it. The New York Stock Exchange trading floor shuts down. First time ever because they were going to go ahead and go fully automated on 3 days later. The origins of NESARA, how FDR took the gold from America in 1933. And if you didn't turn in your gold, then you were going to go ahead and get arrested and have a fine of $10,000 back in 1933. That is a lot of money. Vatican changed its laws as well. And then Entheo's Shines just popped out of nowhere. He's introduced. I love Entheo's Shines.
So I want to comment for a second. Speaking of the checks given out, my mother-in-law, who's in her 60s, told my wife, her daughter, the other day, because she works at Legoland. She also worked at a supermarket, but barely part-time at the supermarket. It was basically mostly working at this Legoland. And typically those kind of jobs, they may be just barely above minimum wage or whatever, That's the story of her life since forever. And between me and you, I don't know why some people settle for that. I would always try to get a better paying job personally, but maybe she just likes what she does. I don't know. However, she told her the other day, Evelyn, I'm on unemployment. I've never made as much money in my life as I'm making right now week to week on unemployment. Because it's like 600 something bucks a week or whatever. She wasn't making that. She's like, I like this. I'm on unemployment and I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. And if she's saying that, how many other people lived like that? Paycheck to paycheck, barely enough. There might be some of y'all in here right now saying, Joe, you can count me on that one too, actually. Maybe. So I've been meaning to do a video to just say that. This is crazy to have to say that, but I actually know somebody very close to me that is making more money on unemployment than they were making at their full-time job. Incredible. So let me go ahead and continue now.
So that one's pretty self-explanatory. NESARA Part 7, things are happening. Trump tweets, we are going to win sooner than later. Student loans suspended. UK offers relief. Hawaii, Las Vegas shuts down. NESARA rollout needs a worldwide shutdown. This is where it's happening. We're starting to see things happening. Or we have already seen it happen, but I want to kind of touch on this a little bit. What's really been a blessing too is I don't have a secret person that gives me information. I kind of do my own research, and if you share a post with me, I do my own digging. But it's been when I started to first talk about it the first time, then something else happened the next day or a couple days later. Then talked about the progression, kind of the succession of how things were kind of evolving. And here we come, NESARA, here we come. In order for to have the global reset, NESARA rollout needs a worldwide shutdown. Now, no one is an expert on NESARA. Not even myself. I'm just a reporter of it, okay? Because it hasn't officially rolled out. That's why no one's an expert on it. NESARA Part 8 was Pelosi and Dems. They shut down the first stimulus, which, again, President Trump was pushing for a stimulus package, and of course the Dems shut it down. They did pass their own version of it last Friday, the second stimulus package, but it favors illegals, criminals, the big donors for the Dems, and lobbyists. It doesn't favor you. It only favors you once, and that's it. But it doesn't favor you. It actually wants to get illegals to continue to take our jobs, illegals to get money, additional money from us, from the United States. So this is really a big one here. I want to show this to you. So there was a suspension of student loans, not just the interest, and FHA foreclosures and evictions for 60 days. The tax filing date was postponed to July 15th as well. And it was, again, this was supposed to have been announced. NESARA law was supposed to have been announced even by Obama in 2011, and he didn't even do it. So for all those of you that do support President or Barack Obama, you can find out that he didn't even want to do it. So this talks a little bit about what was going on with the stimulus, but the Dems are sinking, and they are truly a sinking ship. And the press briefing, he emphasized quite a few things, but what he did in this one here is he pulled out a card. And that was his way of telling us, patriots and anons, that's his Trump card. The Trump.
I want to make another comment. So we talked about the mortgages, can't foreclose for at least 60 days, all that stuff. So I got a phone call from my mortgage company, and remember, I went on their website and started going through the process of, well, if we don't have to pay for 90 days, let me just see what that's about. If they're going to add it to the back, who cares? Well, I can get three free months of living here. They're going to add to the back anyways. Might as well take the cash, invest in cryptos or something. So I went through the process, didn't even complete it because it was like, you got to show a hardship. I'm like, well, I can't show that, so never mind. They sent me a letter in the mail. You're approved anyways. Sign here. I didn't sign. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. And they stopped taking payments out anyways. So I had 2 months of not payments. So next month they're telling me, they called me recently, it's due. And they said, but there's 3 options you can do. One of the options, I spoke with the lady on the phone. She goes, you can ask for a modification, such as lower interest rate, and which would lower your payments. And I'm like, oh, we do have extremely low rates right now. And remember, I wrote so much crap off that my income, like I didn't qualify. The other day when I was trying to do it through a company, they're like, we can't get you to refinance. You don't qualify right now. So I was like, well, whatever. This is a little different. So I thought to myself, is it possible that I'll actually qualify for a low interest mortgage because of what happened? So I get it anyways, and maybe I don't have to have all the absurd fees attached to it. Who knows? I don't know. But I just, as that came up, it brought that back. This just happened a couple days ago. So I'm waiting to hear back from them to see what they say. Anyways, let's roll.
Card is a strategy. He has used his Trump card many times since I started doing NESARA GESARA broadcasts. Now, NESARA Part 9, COVID bill passes, California suspends mortgages. This is when we started to see the trickle-down effect. We already saw things happening in different countries about UK and what was going on out there. Now we were beginning to see it in our own country, where California was. They started to offer suspending mortgages for certain banks only. But he did sign the CARES Act, which is that COVID relief bill. Is the Federal Reserve bankrupt? So in that post, it does show some information about that. Is Wall Street Trump's next target? Chart of events. So I want to show this. The chart of events comparing coronavirus to H1N1. Now, this was a chart of events that happened as of March 27th, 2020. So it kind of gives you a comparison of H1N1 versus COVID and what happened for America and how nothing was Obama didn't do anything, didn't do squat for us when there was the H1N1. But then there was the COVID and how President Trump has done, and his administration has done so much for us. So, and also certain incidents that happened, like the Vatican being raided. That never happened before. And it did happen during, well, this was post Vatican raid is when the COVID crisis came out. But so, and then the meltdowns in Hollywood, by the way, where are they? So this is the deaths, the death toll was 12,469. Again, those were actual deaths with H1N1. And then as of March 1st, that was the death toll. Again, March 1st was the death toll at 38. We later found out that hospitals are getting paid an incentive to classify their patients that died in their hospital as COVID deaths because they get paid either $13,000 or $39,000. In this post, though, it does talk about Mnuchin had bankrupt the Fed and pretty much kind of goes through what an Anand's point of view. And then it kind of related back to an older post of the gold standard coming back. But it also talks about the Defense Production Act and how very, very powerful that is for President Trump. He is using that Defense Production Act. Honestly, somebody said, Chuk said, the DPA is NESARA on steroids. And he's right. So NESARA Part 10, the death of the Federal Reserve, and there's a lot more NESARA proofs. So the death of the Federal Reserve, this is not another 4-year election. Okay, this is great. A gold standard in play. So let me just open this up. It's Patriots in Control of the Federal Reserve. That was a recent post on March 27th of 2020. It pretty much was saying it had a link, and it said it was an article by Yahoo Finance, pretty much saying the death of the Federal Reserve. And so meet your new Fed chairman, Donald J. Trump. And that was from Yahoo News again. Again, it was more of a liberal bias. Now, it says here on Q3904 on March 27, 2020, the title is Patriots in Control of the Federal Reserve. So it's wonderful. Here's an email that was sent out, or it was a posting that was sent out by Leonard Bacani, who talked about he had dinner with some officials from the Federal Reserve, and then he had that the Federal Reserve was closed for 4 weeks, but they're only leaving the essentials in the Federal Reserve. And under this NESARA Part 10, he also has President Trump signed an executive order for reservists to report to active duty. So that was a big one, because what are they doing? Why is he doing that? All right. So it's because all this takedown was in the works. Now, NESARA Part 11, public proofs. This one's a biggie. I guess they're all biggies, but it was kind of interesting to see the progression. Again, this was March 31st, 2020, then when this was posted. The very first NESARA broadcast that I did was on March 10th of 2020. So it was moving at lightning speed, but there was a lot of stuff that was uncovered as well. We kind of did a checklist on the NESARA, and Number one was zeros out the debt relief for the credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt. There was the CARES Act in there. That's the first sign of debt forgiveness. Again, this has not been officially rolled out. I have to keep emphasizing that because people keep repeating the same question, and I want to make sure this has not officially rolled out, but this was the first public sign of debt forgiveness is when President Trump rolled out the CARES Act, abolishes the income tax. Trump has mulled over a 0% payroll tax for a while, so there's links on this. Abolishes the IRS. Trump has discussed this. Creates 14% flat tax, and I heard it was 17%. So whether it's 14 or 17%, it's just a flat tax on non-essential items. Here is proof that there's a Trump tax plan, and then Trump mulled over the 0% payroll income tax. All right, so he does not want to have payroll income tax. He wants to have the flat tax, which makes a lot of sense. Increases benefits to senior citizens. Trump's plans the executive order to improve Medicare. He really is paying attention to senior citizens. Returns constitutional law to all our courts and legal matters. The proof, Trump appointing a historic number of judges to uphold our Constitution. Ballotpedia, 193 Trump judges confirmed. Now it's like 205 or 209. So again, this was just the end of March that we had this article posted. Number 7 is reinstates the title of nobility. The hundreds of thousands of Americans under the control of foreign powers lose their citizenship to be deported to other countries. There's the title of nobility clause. So it's defined. It's not approved, but it's defined. Establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days. Proof is Trump declared national emergency on March 13th, 2020. Trump has declared it, and since then he is publicly moving at lightning speed. Number 9, monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities. Here's the political article. Proof is the political liberal. It's a liberal news article, but it's actually very beneficial for us. And then the republic government under constitutional law.
Okay, now since he did this a little while back, I'm going to add something that is fairly recent. See if I can find it here. It was one of the recent ones about the right here. NSA stopped. This is recent. This is June 11th. NSA stopped Democrats' ability to cheat electronically, so now they want to cheat with vote by mail. And the picture of this, NSA.gov, Twitter, we began the ability for us to defend the presidential elections, not today, not 6 months from now. We began it the day after the midterm elections. General Paul Nakasone said, find out how we've been working to protect the 2020 elections. And again, he did this on February 10th, 2020. But he's saying we did it the day after because, again, more criminality happened during the midterms. So she didn't catch this because this was just posted yesterday. And her video was from 3 weeks ago. But right here under this, it qualifies as hey, pay attention, there's been some moves in the right direction.
That creates new U.S. Treasury. Proof is Q3904, which we just went over, and Q3393. And then Trump's federal pick wants to revive the gold standard. So, and there was a tweet by President Trump back in January 29th of 2019. So forbids the sale of American birth certificates. 12 is initiates new U.S. Treasury system in alignment with constitutional law. There's your proofs right here and articles. And again, Trump's Fed pick, but this one here is a CNBC article from 2018. Oh, it's so good too. Eliminates the Federal Reserve, CNBC article again from here. Yahoo Finance article, again, that was in Q3904. And then NESARA article in short is under so this is the NESARA article here under the New Republic, the Federal Reserve is closed. And it's the Golden Age of Gaia, New U.S. Republic via a global currency reset, and that was in 2016. Yeah, it restores financial privacy. There's the Graham-Leach-Bailey Act. Didn't even know that we had an act to keep our financial information private. Boy, is that getting broken, huh? Retrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. Again, it goes over Trump's confirmed judges. Seizes all aggressive U.S. government military actions. EO on reservists on active duty is the proof, and also reclaiming all military installations. The New Republic is in the process of reclaiming all military installations. Establishes peace throughout the world. There's proof. I don't have to say much after that with Kim Jong-un and President Trump. And releases enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. They're in the COVID relief bill, or also known as the CARES Act. There are things in there for humanitarian purposes. Enables the release of over 6,000 patents. I should probably update this with like February or with a May 2020 one, right? Because we're beginning to see patents on hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine that are actually getting discovered, and they've been out in the market for a while, but they've been kind of held hostage and didn't want us to know about it. So that is happening now. Initiates first phase of prosperity. COVID relief is not NESARA, but signs of it leads in that direction. So I'm just kind of making that very clear. Now, there are individual proofs shown in this Twitter feed of debt relief and debt forgiveness. And then you have a little bit over here about the CARES Act and what's in it and what to do next. So that is huge. NESARA Part 12 is Trump's briefing had 17 big bombs in it. In short, he's actually given us signs of a very, very optimistic future. But we have to go through the pain before we go to the prosperity. And that's going to be the title of my next post that's going to be coming out next week. So he did talk about a lot of things. He did hint with a lot. These briefings were so wonderful for us, Anons and Patriots. We were sitting there salivating saying, oh my gosh, he's sharing so many different signs of what was going on, what was really going on. So take a look at this. It does show a lot of proofs and what actually did happen. NESARA Part 13, more NESARA proofs. Trump's briefing mentioned he may use constitutional authority to adjourn Congress and make nomination and appointments. So it has some articles here. You can just click on that. It takes you to those articles about the global jubilee looms as G20 finalizes debt relief program. Australia offering a form of relief. UK paying $2,500 a month for self-employed, also paying the same up to $2,500 a month for salaried employees. Other countries offering stimulus as of that date. Asian countries offering stimulus. Lawyers across the U.S. offering free legal advice for business owners. France writing blank checks. No business will fail is their motto, is what they want to do. World Bank making desperate moves. President Trump finds a cure and says more to come. It's a part of the NESARA plan. USA Congress present a bill to give $2,000 a month. Well, it ended up being a different type of bill because it was a stimulus of one time. And this is the bill that Nancy Pelosi shot down. All right, so it ended up being $1,200 a one-time thing. Now, if you're still trying to find out where your stimulus check is, please go to the IRS site, follow the links about where's my check. I believe that's what it's titled, and then you can go ahead and find out what's going on. If you do owe back taxes, they are going to go ahead and withhold those taxes. And then they'll just, I think what I've heard is that they're going to, if you owe like $900 in taxes, you'll get $300 back. So that's what I heard. Okay, so NESARA Part 14, Trump tweet is golden. So he was talking a little bit about spending this is what was posted on April 18th. Spending more of the morning speaking to FEMA, military relative to coronavirus, spoke to leaders of various countries, Poland, South Korea, and Bahrain. Last night had a very gold conversation with the president of Mexico on numerous topics. Border is very strong. I really don't think it can get more obvious than that, but that's a great article if you want to go ahead and dive into that one. NESARA Part 15, the best is yet to come. President Trump drops multiple signals. He met with the president of Zimbabwe. Wasn't big news. Transition to greatness. Remember, President and Melania Trump, they went to Taj Mahal. What's made in Taj Mahal? What's it mostly made of? Gold. What if the best is yet to come is greater than you can even ever imagine? In this particular May 8th GOP meeting, his intro highlights, they were so huge, but the takeaways are, he mentions 100,000, and the way he mentions it, it was like he said it in a way where he's like withholding. He's like, I got a big Christmas gift I want to give you guys, but he's kind of hinting, but he can't tell anybody really what it is. Then he mentions incredible transformation, broken country, and what we're going through is a miracle. 5-5 loud and clear, and then the transition to greatness. And this is what this Shame 2020 mentioned. It reminds me of when you buy someone a really cool Christmas present and you give them hints because you're so excited, but you want it to be a surprise. He definitely is holding back an economic boom. Merry Christmas in July, Santa. Thank you, Shed. The world leaders view us as the world leaders. That's what President Trump says. So there's some information on that, and I have another broadcast on that about the world leaders. But to implement NESARA GESARA, Trump has to take down the bad guys. NESARA GESARA, or what Trump's are, DPA, whatever President Trump is going to call it, is for us, not the bad guys. Then he made a remark about Mike Pence, and then Entheos retweeted, our dear friend Entheos retweeted this post about GESARA. He wrote, "Get ready, everyone. We're all born for this moment. God could have put us in any other generation he wanted to. He chose right here, right now." Yes. Okay. Thank you, Entheos. That was now he wrote that in 2018. I retweeted it on May 2nd of this year, 2020, and Entheos retweeted it, but I put the little acronym of myself here, G, getting excited, so all are abundantly blessed, and he retweeted that, which I thought was really awesome. Thank you, Entheos. And then we have other posts in here as well. NESARA Part 16, Transition to Greatness is worldwide. Proof of worldwide connections. This one is a big dig. It's global, it's worldwide. So many proofs are coming out. My dear friend Chuk, he ended up getting suspended 2 days ago. So I'm so upset about this because he and Aussie Patriot Q contributed to so much of information in this particular podcast. So it talks a little bit about how President Trump had a lot of how he was able to put together executive orders that pertains to worldwide. So check this out. Worldwide executive orders. And this was actually posted by our Anon, and I am going to give her a shout out in a different broadcast, but he had executive orders blocking the property of, so he had a lot of worldwide executive orders. And we were like asking, how is it that a president of the United States can do that? And it's powerful. He talks about the power of the Defense Production Act, and how it pretty much is that any of these companies, any company that President Trump says, again, pertaining to what is happening right now, being under a national emergency, that if he says, if we have, let's say any of these companies have a government contract, that takes precedence over any other contracts that they have, even their own sales. So now, Lawfare Blog gives a great interpretation to the Defense Production Act. United States is a corporation. It was registered as an entity in the United States. So that was another big dig that we had. I encourage you to go through this podcast in its own, because it was super deep and it was a big dive. But what it did tie into was what was happening worldwide, and how is everything all of a sudden tying into what is happening now. You've got the Hong Kong Exchange, you've got HKEX, which is like the New York Stock Exchange in America, if you will. The CEO is going to resign. He's only 59 years old. Why is he resigning? He must know something big is happening. IMF is offering debt forgiveness to 25 of the poorest countries. UN is struggling to get world leaders on board with their silly COVID plan. They're very, very unhappy about it. Even Angela Merkel isn't on board with the UN plan, which says so much. President Trump did meet with the president of Zimbabwe, and what's Zimbabwe known for? Their gold. Yeah, a lot of it. New Zealand is in. So New Zealand joins U.S.-led COVID coalition, which is really huge news. And then we talked about the ties that the UK has in all of its other countries that are under the reign of the UK. So it has all of that information right here, which really is pretty big, because why I mentioned that is because we, and even Australia, they filed a, this was found by Chuk Chuk. All right, so they filed with the Security and Exchange Commission on 2009. However, it was filed with the Treasury Department this on March of 2019. Why would the Commonwealth of Australia file a document with the SEC of the United States? Right? So a lot of just kind of curious digs, because people in the UK are like, oh, please, we need Trump here. We need Trump here. Guess what, guys? People in the UK, Trump is your man. Okay. This was 2 years ago when President Trump visited Queen Elizabeth, and she told Trump to walk ahead of her. You could see other clips on that, and he was inspecting the military. And then again, back in 2019, last year, Prince Philip allowed President Trump to walk in front of him, which is against the monarchy protocol. So it tells me the monarchy is done. The Great Awakening is worldwide, and the Justice Departments, they're doing so much right now, but President Trump keeps tweeting now, transition to greatness. So that's huge, huge, huge. That was a huge one. People around the world they were thrilled about that podcast, because it's tying in the worldwide movement, how NESARA is tying in. That's my podcast for today. I hope this does help for those that are new to the podcast, or to the.
So now that we got through that, that was 3 weeks ago. And there's, some of the stuff she talks about in the beginning, like, oh, Clinton was forced to sign this thing. Can we prove that? I mean, no. George Bush was going to, but his dad said not to. Again, no. Is there possible that a couple things she got wrong? Sure. Of course, yeah. But she presented a lot there, and that was the summary of her big thing, like just to go through all of it in a nutshell. And it still took her 35 minutes. So there's a lot there. And again, originally I'm like, NESARA, come on, dude. I can take these headphones off now. Let me get these things on out here. So, again, I'm thinking about all this from the woo-woo stuff, my own personal experience with JC, this ceremonial dagger thing. This represents rulership. It's being brought back to the rightful heir. We've been hoodwinked the whole time. The bad guy sees this happening. Someone's got it. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. And then he flashes back to her again, Inanna. Like, how the hell does that happen? What the hell kind of dream is that? Or vision, whatever. Dream vision. We're supposed to go up in the mountain to dig. No, I gotta stay home today. Super tired, like, I gotta go. And a huge download comes in for him. And for this whole time, we still wondered about it. I wonder what that was about. Oh, I wonder what was that about. Why is this crystal that this Indian woman has, which I'm telling you is phenomenal. It gave me dreams when I asked it for answers. 3 times. It needs to go to the sacred grounds. It's got work to do. Earth, everything is changing on Earth. It has to, like, kind of push us over the edge so we don't repeat the bullshit, like we've done many times in the past. And like just this weird thing. How the hell am I part of this? I'm just out there. Look, I was digging for treasure. Where did all this come from? And then now we have this guy who's claiming to be the rightful ruler of England and all this stuff. The damn palace is shut down. Oh no, one of our signs, our seals got damaged and we've covered over it. Get the F out of here. Oh, the Queen, she's leaving too. COVID. She doesn't have it, but she's concerned she might get it because one of her aides got it. And remember when that happened? I did a video on it. Oh, one of her aides has it. Oh, how shocking. You know, let's clear out the palace. Every single window is either boarded up or closed off in a pretty serious kind of way. Again, the guard has changed, the uniform. What the hell's happening, man? Like, you can't ignore this. This is not normal. So, if Trump is who he says he is, and he is, I'm convinced, absolutely. And he says, yeah, wait till the end of this year. We'll already start booming, economy and everything. But in all fairness, it starts next year, he says. The next 4 years after his election, the re-election. And I believe him. And by that time, I think the deep state, they're all going to get taken down now. Lindsey Graham, he just got done saying how they're going to subpoena or have all these guys come in. James Comey, Clapper, all of them under oath. This is huge. And it's the Senate, not the filthy, bogus Democrats asking softball questions. No, it's the Senate. Republicans. They're going to crush these guys. So, again, he still has the military active, reserves, all of them, because of the emergency. And I told you when it happened, this isn't for COVID. This is not for COVID. He's not calling in the reserves up to 1 million troops. This is not for COVID. The numbers are going down. Look, not for COVID. And as you can see, he's telling Seattle and other Democratic-run cities and states and whatnot, you better get your act together. You better clean up those violent rioters or destroying stuff. If you don't, I'm sending in my guys in. I'll do it. So he posted again, I think it was earlier today, regards to Seattle. Hey, it looks like Antifa is claiming 6 blocks of Seattle. You better get your crap together. I'm about to get my guys in there. Law and order is coming. You better hurry. So he's going to send in the military. He's already said twice now, my fellow Americans. And we're all like, oh, is he going to say the Q speed? Oh, no, not quite. Oh, he tricked us. You know, he just got, dang, that close. He's also letting you know by doing that, it's getting close for me to giving you the speech where I do start like that and then continue. He's letting you know it's getting really, really close. And again, even QAnon recently, this was either the day before yesterday or yesterday. Let me find it. Welcome to the Democratic Party Con. Woke. Trying to find it real quick. But basically he was saying, right here. June 9th, 2020. The wait will soon be over. William Barr, talks about the wheels of justice, accountability, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And he says the wait will soon be over. In other words, the wait for what? The wait for justice to be served. Indictments. Unsealed. And remember about the first unsealed indictment. And that was posted a while ago. And that was December 17, 2019. First indictment, unseal, will trigger mass population awakening. First arrest will verify action and confirm future direction. In other words, if they just unsealed that indictment on so-and-so, so-and-so must be a big, big name. Could it be Obama? Could it be Clinton? Could it, who knows? Big name. And that will trigger a mass population awakening. So that means you and I who are already awake don't count. The rest of the population will awaken due to the indictment being unsealed, whoever this individual is. First arrest, which should be that first indictment, will verify action and confirm future direction. In other words, actions speak louder than words. We're going to do it. Watch what happens when we get the first person. And guess who they are. Wait till you see who they are. And that confirms future direction. So where are we heading as a country? Well, if they just unsealed that indictment, and we know there's tens of thousands of indictments sealed, that's -1. And that was a huge one. What future is our country heading? What direction? The direction of law, order, justice, prosperity, wealth, the American dream coming back, all of it. And he says they will fight, but you are ready. Marker number 9, whatever 9 is. And the interesting thing was that post 3716 is this exact same thing he just said. The very next one, 3717, is the exact same thing. It just says duplicate drop. Why would you post one after the other? That's very odd. Both saying the exact same thing. So that's very interesting. Who's it going to be? Could it be one of the former presidents? Clinton, Obama, Bush? Could it be one of them? That soon? That'd be a tough pill for even me to swallow, to be honest with you, but we don't know. And they're not saying. But they're pretty sure whoever the first indictment is will trigger mass population awakening. It might simply be, Rod Rosenstein, James Comey, Clapper, Brennan, one of those people. It would still trigger a mass awakening because they're going to say, oh my God, this guy's now been charged with, I don't know if they're going to use the word treason or whatever the charge will be, for interfering in a presidential election, and actually them interfering with Trump being elected, not the Russians helping. That could still trigger a mass population awakening. Oh my God, that means that guy's guilty. They really did spy on Trump. They really did do this. And again, if there's an indictment unsealed and then there's an arrest, we're going to probably hear or see the data of why that person was arrested and the indictment unsealed. We'll actually get to see the dirty details. That's what they did? Oh my God, are you serious? Right, that kind of reaction. The mass population. You and I, about time. I've been waiting 3 years for this. It's about time you guys did something. Jeez. Still very, very happy, of course. So, if that's the future direction, that lets you know. That will let everybody know now, okay, Trump is the man. QAnon, whoever it, he, she, they are, they're the man or women or group. What they said is true, which means if that happened, everything else they said, we can look forward to. Oh my gosh. There's going to be a lot of arrests. And all these bad people will be taken out of the way. And now Trump can get stuff really done. Really open up our country. And again, what kind of technology? Like I said a little while back, I saw a TV ad for the military, U.S. Army and this and that. And it listed at the very bottom of the ad all the military branches. And it, for the first time I ever saw, it included the Space Force. Space Force. Now you're asking yourself, we already have a Space Force, but we hadn't even set a man up in the space in the recent times. And if we're doing it on Elon Musk's rocket, it gets us up to the space station, that's about it. Space Force, in comparison to Air Force. Well, we have aircraft carriers, we have all kinds of different crazy flying vehicles, jets, and you name it, helicopters, all kinds of crazy stuff. We don't just have them dropped off at one location, that's our naval force. No. We have all kinds of cool equipment. Flying around all over the place. We have submarines, we got all kinds of cool stuff. If I hear the word Space Force, I automatically, and you should too, think, we've got space-capable vehicles. And it ain't some old firecracker rocket from Elon Musk. Elon, we love you, but it's not that. That's for NASA. You guys go ahead and go up. Go ahead and mess around and play little games on the space station. Have fun. We got big boy work to do. We're gonna take the TR-3B. We're gonna blink to the moon in about a millisecond, and we're gonna send back some interesting footage. Like that's done under Donald Trump. Obama was dismantling. He basically dismantled NASA, space flights, military was in poor condition. Trump comes in, fixes all of it. So that's a little taste of, we just went straight to Space Force? What is in store for the rest of us in the next 4 years after he wins? And he's going to win his re-election. I'm just thinking again, I'm just envisioning me in my new tri-motor Tesla pickup truck, 500 mile on a charge, 0 to 60 2.9, just because, 2.9 seconds, towing the Black Fly personal manned drone out to New Mexico and other places. Why would I have to stop at New Mexico only? Other places. And I was just looking at some footage today. Footage that I've looked at so many times. My wife looked over at me today. Oh my... You still looking at that stuff? Yeah, why? Because you looked at it 500 times already. But every now and then I look at it and I see something new. And she left today, and I was stuck. I wasn't stuck. I was home with Ian, little baby Ian, just me and him. And I'm got my laptop down there, and I'm just watching some of my old footage, drone footage, of this one particular site. And this one's really pretty easy to hike to. It's a bit of a drive to get to the spot, but at least you're driving. And then once you get there, you can hike down, and there's this big cross. That the bottom part of the cross broke off, or I don't know if someone destroyed it somehow, but the upper part, so it kind of looks like a plus now, is still there, and it's big. And my friend took us down and hiked there when we first went out there, just to show us some stuff out there. And we walked right by it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. So the old church, I'm telling you, the Jesuits were out there. And so that was neat. So I'm looking at this drone footage that I took while we were out there in that area that I've seen a million times now. And thanks to, I guess, a couple of recent trips that I've been out there where I found that Triangle Rock and saw certain things, I'll just say, that I didn't know to look for previously, I'm looking at this video now saying, oh, let me see if I can see that same kind of stuff present. And if I do see it present, let me pause the video and look around there. Because if that's there, then somewhere fairly close by should be, if I've got this right, maybe something in a way in, or something that at least looks interesting like that. So I'm over there. It's not too far from the cross, like really close. And I'm looking, and I see this little bush that's kind of tucked into a crack, and I'm like, I wonder if that's like concealing a little opening. Well, maybe 10 feet to the left is like this triangular, it looked like a triangular opening. Now remember I said I found a triangle rock at our main site around the corner basically. And we are pretty certain it's an alternative way in. And I found symbolism on the rock wall that told me Spanish signed for like opening. And when I went around that corner, there was a lot of them all over plastered on the wall, like a whole bunch, like almost like, hello, there's an opening here. There's a 50,000 of these markings here, not that many, but within feet of that, I find this triangle stone, and it had some symbology on it too. And I'm like, oh. And one of the things it had was these rocks stacked on the center, and they were all fit together like a piece of a puzzle. Each layer, there was like 6 layers about 1 inch thick, and each little layer would come out like a puzzle piece with several pieces. It was really fascinating. So, again, I discovered that kind of on accident, if you will. One of my woo-woo friend guys said, go around the backside. I'm hearing there's another way in. So that's what prompted me to go look around. And then I find the spot I'm sure he's talking about. So now that I'm looking at this old footage with this new insight, I'm thinking, well, I knew some things around that triangle rock that were there. And I think that was a sign to let you know, hey, come closer to take a look. So I saw a couple of those things in my old drone footage at this site by the cross. And I thought, was it a coincidence or could it be the same thing? So I see this little bush and a big crack, and at the bottom it looks like it might open, but the bush is covering it, so I can't really tell with the drone. And I didn't get real close to it, but I was pretty close. But about 10 feet to the left, I see a triangle. Like, I can see the cracks perfectly making a triangle. And it looks like there's 3 or 4 large rock things that were absolutely perfectly carved and just pushed in there to almost make it meld right into the mountain, that you'd walk right by it and not even look twice. But because of the crazy skill that I witnessed by taking out that 6-layer puzzle piece on top of this triangle stone that we found, I thought, they do puzzle pieces. It must mean something. And it was fit in there with such precision, it was shocking to me. I thought it was all one piece of the mountain. So when I saw this drone footage today, I'm like, that's bigger rock than what I was pulling out. But it looks like it's fitting in there in a puzzle fashion. And I can see the seams all the way across. And it also is a effing triangle. And the other symbology that I thought I knew, oh, you see that and that, you better look around this area because that was also present at your triangle site. And you mean to tell me I find another triangle? Except this one's not laid down, this one's up like this. Like if I could pull this stuff out, you could just like walk right in. And I'm like, that's an easy hike. That was a pretty damn easy hike. And if JC's watching right now, I don't know if he's in here, this is near the first wobbly legs he got. We walked by the spot, and there was this big crack in the wall in front of us. And right as we started going right there, he's like, whoa, I got like really wobbly legs. And I'm like, you need to take a break? He goes, no, not like physically. This was a like, mentally, like just, I don't know how to explain it, but like, whoa, energetically. Wobbly legs. Whoa, like he's like, I think we just passed over like something. Oh, strange. That happened. That was the first time that happened with him. So when we started digging on our main site, this is not the main site I'm talking about now, but when we were at the main site, and I thought, well, I think this is the spot. We were walking a little bit above it, a little bit below it to just make sure. Okay, I think we need to dig here. I don't want to get you on the wrong spot. And he walks up there, and he goes, "Oh, I got it again." Wobbly legs, the energetic thing. I'm like, well, you're right. I mean, you're pretty much right where we're going to be digging right down here. That's the second time you've gotten that. And this is where I think we need to dig. You're very close to where we're digging. Like, this is interesting. So that was JC. So now that I'm thinking again about this, he got wobbly legs. This thing was 1 layer below us, but really easy, like not real far down. Almost right where he got the wiggly legs. Like, I mean, practically right there. So I'm like looking back at this footage going, symbolism, if that's there, then maybe something's to be here. Okay, it looks like that something is there. So to my wife, that's why I go back and watch these things 50,000 times. Because I'll see something new. Oh, I didn't see that before. Oh, I didn't see that before. So, anyways, I could show it to you, but I don't feel like I want to right now. I don't want to share that spot just yet. So, on that note, look, I want to be out there with my Tesla, with my little flying machine, video, you guys loving life, living the American dream too. Hey, Joe, we just got our second house, or I got this, cryptos did that, man, I made the, living the life, man, living the American dream. This crap we're dealing with right now, riots, I don't even care about it. I'm like, I'm retweeting stuff. Okay, check this out, guys. It needs to be shared. Oh, look, they just uncovered coffins in Brazil of COVID patients that died, and they're empty. Oh, wow, imagine that. So, yeah, I'm going to keep posting to wake people up, but we'll get through this nonsense. We're going to get through it. It's being exposed by itself, actually. But we'll get through it, and then he'll get reelected, and then we have, I think, absolute greatness to look forward to. And I'm seeing how fast we're already halfway through 2020, and as you guys know, each year seems like, gosh, we just turned into January. How the hell are we at June already? So when I think about that damn Cybertruck, we'll start production and whatever 2021. It's going to be here before you know it. And again, $100 deposit, you can simply ask for a refund later. What the hell? You might as well get in line for that. So, again, greatness is probably going to be coming. And that little flying machine might become ancient technology over the next few years. If Trump starts really releasing some really cool technology. Propellers and batteries. Dude, that's so 2 years ago. Get with the times, man. With the freaking times, dude. It's 2 years ago. It was only 2 years ago. I know, but dude, we have plasma-powered craft now. What are you doing? Yeah, it's an antique now. They changed the antique laws. You used to have to wait 20 years to be called a classic car and all that, like antique. No. Anything older than 2 years is an antique now, going forward under President Trump and his son, and the next one, the next one. That would be kind of funny. But even if I knew right now, in advance, that little flying machine, the Black Fly, is coming out, let's say later this year, I get an email, hey, we're taking orders right now, and I go immediately in there, I want one, here's my down payment, done. And I've got one, yes. And I knew that exactly in 2 years, 2022, there'd be new technology that makes that thing very obsolete. Because of what it is right now, I want one. And I would still get one. Even if I had that crystal ball that said, oh, just wait a couple more years, dude. You'll have superior technology. Why waste your money on that now? Oh, I don't know. Because I want to fly one of these damn things right now. And I've got crypto, and the crypto market exploded at that time when I took a little profit, paid off the house, got that thing. Assuming that that's how it goes, of course. Yeah, so anyways. Yeah, the new plasma for health. I think it's going to, plasma, like Penny says, she goes, plasma is going to be the thing. Because you basically, I guess you can kind of program it to do stuff. And in one of her videos, she said, oh, in her Patreon, watch these 3 videos I put together a while back about like an introduction to plasma. So I watched them in her Patreon. And there was one thing where she talked about they did tests. And I think maybe she actually did the test. And but the test was growing food, like plants or whatever, at an accelerated rate with plasma technology. And it was successful. And I thought, whoa, how the hell does it, I never asked her yet, but I'm like, well, how do you do it? First of all, how do I just make plasma? And second of all, how do I tell the plasma, make these plants grow faster? Like, how does that work? And she didn't get into the details. So one of these days when I talk to her, I need to ask her, hey, Penny, how the heck is it actually done? And see what she says. And if I ever do a live stream with her and I don't ask that, y'all need to get in that comment section and be like, Joe, did you ask her about the plasma, about the food growing? Like, remind me, in case I forget. So, on that note, we'll be live streaming an hour and 13 minutes. It's a good time to call it quits. That's it for now. Take care.